Hi friends, welcome to my channel Learn with IT. I'm Indrajit Paul. Today I'll be talking about an important topic in Java, that is ternary operator. So this will be a short video. So without wasting any time, let's begin. So before knowing about ternary operator, let's first understand what we do with if else statement. So if else is a conditional statement. So what's that? Conditional statement is a statement where, based on certain condition, we execute a block of code. In simple word, there is a certain condition in the if statement. If the condition is true, a block of code will be executed. And if the condition is false, then the block of code will not be executed. So let's look at it practically. So we have two variables, int marks and another variable, string result, that is res. Okay. So if marks is greater than equals to 25, then result will be pass. And if the marks is less than 25, then the result will be fail. Okay. So if we do it with equal statement, if marks is greater than equals to 25, then the result is pass, right? Result is pass. Else, the result is fail. Okay. But we are getting a compilation error. We should get, because these are local variables, and local variables must be initialized before we use it. So let me initialize the marks. Okay. So if marks is 55, then this condition will be true and result will be pass. If the marks would be less than 25, let's say 20, then this condition will fail and else block will be executed. So simply, if the condition is true, then this block of code will be executed. And if the condition is false, then this block of code will be executed. And just let me execute it and let's check what will be the answer. Okay. So here we go. Right. So this simple thing we do with if else statement, but here for this simple thing we are doing writing 4 lines of code. Here comes the idea of ternary operator, with which we can do this with a single line, right? So it will be very handy. So to understand ternary operator, first we need to understand what is its syntax, right? So let's look at the syntax of the ternary operator. So this is the syntax of the ternary operator. First, there is a condition, then there is a question mark, also called conditional operator. Then there is an expression, then a separator, then another expression. But what actually it means? If the condition is true, then the expression 1 will be returned. If the condition fails or the condition is false, then the expression 2 will be returned. As simple as that. And that should be assigned to a variable. That is, the expression or expression 2, whatever will be returned, that should be assigned to a variable. Okay. This is a ternary operator. So let's look at it practically. We'll do the same thing with the ternary operator, right? So now let's first write the condition. The first thing is condition, right? Marks is greater than equals to 25. Then the conditional operator, that is question mark. Okay. If it is true, then what will happen? The expression 1 will be pass. If it is false, then what will happen is fail, right? Expression 2 will be fail. But still we are getting a compilation error. This is because I have said you that whatever the expression that will be written, that should be assigned to a variable, right? So here we'll assign the result in race variable. Now look at the same thing, that it should be passed because we have marks 55, and let's just execute it. We are getting passed. So simple. Uh, One line code is replacing the 4 lines of code. So it comes very handy in certain scenarios. But although I should mention here that um, all the if else statement cannot be replaced by a ternary operator, right? And should not be, because in certain scenarios, if we try to do those things with ternary operator, it may give unnecessary complexity, readability of code may decrease, and also error, it, that can be an error prompt, right? So let me just say you that if there is multiple statement inside the if block, then definitely ternary operator is not a good choice, right? So also, one more thing I would like to mention here, that uh, we can have nested ethers, right? And we can also have nested ternary operator, right? We can use that, right? So let me just give you another example of nested ternary operator. So it will help you a lot in certain cases. So let's take another example. Let's say we have two variables, num1, and let me just give it a value that is 10, and we have another variable num2, um, that is 20. And now we want that if num1 is greater than num2, just print that num1 is greater. But if num2 is greater than num1, then print num2 is greater, but also check that num2 is even or odd. So how can we do that? So for that, first we need a variable in which we'll assign the return value. That is the expression. Now, if first we have to write the condition, num1 is greater than num2. If so, sorry, if so, the conditional operator, then we have to write the expression for the true case, right? So what we will write? Num1 is greater, right? Else, here comes the tricky point, that if num1 is lesser, that is num2 is greater, right? In that case, uh, what do we have to do? If num1 is greater than num2, we are writing num1 is greater. But if num2 is greater than num1, then what we have to do? We have to write here another condition, that if we have to check that it is even or odd. Okay. So here we have to write another condition, that is if num2 modulo 2 equals to 0, then what we should do? If it is true, then we should write num2 is greater and num2 is greater and even. But else, what we should write? Num2 is greater and false, right? Num2 is greater and right. So now let's check it out. What happens? Okay. So in this case, num2 is greater and even, right? It is 20, is greater and even. Now, if we change it to 40, so it should be num1 is greater only, because for num1 there is no other things. Just we are checking that num1 is greater or not. So in this case, it will be num1 is greater. So this is how we are writing a nested ternary operator. So how, let me just tell you once more time. If num1 is greater than num2, then we are just writing num1 is greater. Then the separator, and the false case, there is another condition we are checking. If num2 modulo 2 is to 0, then num2 is greater and we are checking it's even, right? If num2 in the else, num2 is greater, right? So I hope you understood. Thank you so much. See you in the next.